I want to start by saying I have a thankful heart. And it's not always been there, it's developed. And it develops through hard times, where you've got nowhere to go, and you read somewhere in the Bible it says, of a thankful heart, you think, no thanks. But actually, a thankful heart is the answer to a lot of today's problems. And in Galatians 5:16 it speaks of that. It speaks by living in the world where there's hardship and lust and desires that aren't good for us, or living by the Spirit of God with a thankful heart, even through trials and tribulations. Do you know what? God requires us to have a thankful heart. You're going to have a hard job about it if you're a Christian and wanting to live by the Spirit. God requires us to have a thankful heart. I'm thankful for Paul, the Apostle Paul in the Bible. He went around setting up churches, appointing leaders for that church, and then he'd go off and set up another church. He set up quite a few churches, didn't he? And he'd set them up and then he'd come back, or he'd hear word by mouth or however, that these churches were getting into a bit of bother. Do you remember when we first become Christians, we're full of the honeymoon, and we tell our friends and we get excited about it. Then when life kicks in, I think the Galatians are pretty much the same. They kind of went back to the old ways. Now, I love Paul because he was full of love for his people. He was full of love for God. The love for God, it was massive, his love for God. I don't know what other word to say. It was huge love, and that speaks through the Bible. And we can feel and sense that through the Bible. The way he wants to help people, the way he wants to correct people, the way we get derailed as Christians or not, we get derailed. And Paul went to his churches and he wrote letters to his churches, and that was just to put them back on the rail, back on the right track. And when we read his word, we can think, well, that's quite blunt, Paul, But you see, when you read through it, he says it in love, and he says it in kindness, and he says it in a desire for his people to get back on track and following and being led by the Spirit, because he knew if they were led by the Spirit, they wouldn't follow the desires of their old self, the wants of the self. They're actually natural, but God's ways are supernatural, and that's how he wanted us to live, and that's why he went and he sent his letters, because of his love and his passion for people and to get people back on the right track, because you can. You can. Nothing's ever too big. No derailment is too big. That can't be put back on the rails. So, Paul writes this letter to the Galatians. It's Galatians 5:16. He says this: walk by the Spirit of God. First slide, get it. Or second slide, actually. Just blank. I don't know what I've done. So Paul says this: walk by the Spirit of God, and you will not satisfy the desires of the human nature or the flesh. Now look at the will not. He says it will not. He didn't say probably not. He didn't say maybe not. He says it is a fact. He says you will not satisfy the desires of the human nature. He goes on to say this: this is because the desires of the flesh are against the Spirit of God, and the desires of the Spirit are against the flesh, for these are opposed to each other. Did you see the first slide where there was a tug of war? Where it said flesh and spirit? That's what it's like. It's a tug of war within ourselves. For these are opposed to each other, to keep you from doing the things you want to do. But if you are led by the Spirit of God, you are not under the law of human nature. I'll give you an example. When we're worshipping God, and we can feel the Holy Spirit on us, it's magnificent. It feels so like nothing else matters. When you're in that state, any desires you have, they're not important to you. Would you say that? It's because you're being led by the Spirit. You're feeling His holiness. And your fleshly, earthly wants aren't there. That's what he's talking about. Be led by the Spirit, and you will not fulfill the desires of the flesh. Now obviously, as soon as we're born, we need our needs met. We want to be fed, we want to be clean, we want to be secure and all that kind of stuff. That's normal. Then we grow up and we're fed by the media, we're fed by the parents, and hopefully the good parents. If they're not, you learn the dysfunctional stuff. And you learn to live in a way with how we've been treated, or live in a way that how we've experienced life. Let me just go to the BBC News or whoever news, the tea time news that's fed to us. That's not fed to us as truth often, it's fed to us with a bias, it's fed to us in a way they want us to think. And they may not say that, but they do it subliminally, perhaps that word, subliminally. And how they do that by body language, they do that by tone of voice. You think you're hearing something and it's your thinking, it's not. Because that is how the world works. And I think we could do with waking up to that, really. EastEnders. Years ago I used to watch EastEnders on a Sunday while I was ironing. And God spoke to me. I was so anxious just by watching it. And he said, well, why are you feeding yourself that? And I think, I'm not, I'm just watching it. But while I was watching it, I was actually feeding myself that exact anxiety that leads. We are sponges for the world if we let it. If we let it in, we are sponges, we can soak it in, we can live it out. It's not good for us. I think we have a choice to make, really, don't we? So let's take a look at what else Paul says. So Paul knows he used to persecute the Christians, obviously before he became a Christian. He used to persecute them. He used to have them stoned just for being a Christian, for believing in God. He used to have them imprisoned. He used to murder them. People were petrified of Paul. Absolutely petrified. They didn't want to be associated with him. And you wouldn't, would you, if there's someone around like that? You wouldn't want to be so. You'd be fear for your life. But Paul had a real encounter with God. He got blinded. You want you to read the stories in Acts. He got blinded by God, and he was blind for 3 days. And God spoke to him. But that day when he blinded him, he said, Paul, it was actually called Saul then, why are you persecuting me? Why are you persecuting me? That was the start of his change of path. He was totally derailed, and he was derailing every person around. And God had hold of him. He said, why are you persecuting me? Me, God, you know, me, why are you persecuting me? He gave him an encounter of his life. Actually, he gave him an encounter of our life. Because through that, he speaks to us through the Bible, through the letters, through the churches that he sets up. So Paul goes on to say he knows what human nature is about, doesn't he? He says this, what human nature does is quite plain, really. It shows itself in immoral filth and indecent actions, in worship of idols and witchcraft. People become enemies and they fight. They become jealous, angry and ambitious. They separate into parties and groups. I hate that. They separate into parties and groups. They are envious. They get drunk and do other things like this. And he says to them, I warn you now, as I have before, those who do these things will not possess the kingdom of heaven. That's a bit of a wake-up, isn't it? That's the deeds of the flesh. Do we want to live like that? Do we want to consciously live like that? I think I'd say no. I think we unconsciously can live like that. You can't from today, because you've been made aware of it. The disputes, I've had plenty of disputes. There's a lot of that I can relate to. Can you relate to that as well? I don't think we want that, do we? It's like darkness breeds darkness, lust breeds lust, anxiety breeds more anxiety, depression breeds more anxiety. It's one of the same, one is the other, it's the other. It's like a domino effect. Or, do you you want God to lead you in His love? If God leads us in His love, we're filled with His love. And if we're filled with His love, we give out love. And someone else is filled with love. Jesus' love that you're giving out. And so it goes on, and so it goes on, and so it goes on. Do we want that? Do you want God to lead us in joyfulness? He gives us joyfulness. We'll do the same again. He gives us joyfulness. We give out joyfulness. Another person sees it. Domino effect. Do you want God to lead us in peace? Do you want God to lead us in kindness, goodness, gentleness, self-control? Do we want that? We want that. It's yours. It's your inheritance. But only through being led by the Spirit. Only through being led by the Spirit. See, the desires of the flesh are more often about self-preservation. Pride is about self-preservation. Anger is about self-preservation. We can mask it in a lot of different words, but actually that's self-preservation. Even anxiety, depression, it's self-preservation. How can I stop feeling like this? How can I, and they're genuine feelings and genuine horrible things to go through. They're horrible. Lots of our insecurities. A lot of insecurities come from misunderstanding. We want to say what we want to say. When the other person wants to say and you're at loggerheads because everybody wants to say something and no one's listening. We don't have to live like that. Because that's not living according to the Spirit. That's being derailed. That's going back into how things used to be before you knew there was a God. Not living by the Spirit can lead us to be like a counsellor or a profession, mental health professional would call it. We can be emotionally dysfunctional where we don't know how to respond. We respond by reactions rather than responses. So something happens and we go automatically in this way of thinking. That could be anxiety, it could be defence. That's what emotional dysregulation speaks of. You could be anxious, depressed, you could even be numb. Now a numbness is that you're disassociating what's just happened to you or what's going to happen, so can you build a force field around you? That's a self-protection. Anxiety can be self-protection. It's your brain's way of helping you. But because we're so used to doing the same thing, it's like, when you're on a field and you get a bike track, it's like, it makes a groove. The more you use it, it makes a groove. And what God says, no, get your bike and go over. But it takes effort, doesn't it? It takes practice. But the more we go over that, the more we challenge anxiety, depression and numbness, the more we do it, the better we do it, but the better we get at it. And we don't do it alone, because we're led by the Spirit, because He's the boss, not us. I'm not leading it. The world tells us to lead it. God says, let me lead you. Let me lead you. Now there's lots of biblical principles mirrored in mindfulness, DBT, that's dialectical behavioural therapy, and CBT, you know what that is probably. And the truths are this: the truth sets you free. So a DBT would say, look at the facts. Look at the facts, what is factual? Because often when we're not living by the Spirit, we respond to things that aren't even factual. But God says, look at what's fact. This is how we can live by the Spirit, how we can be led. If we look at the facts, what's true. DBT has a kind of tool called Wise Mind. And what it is, it says, if you've got half your mind in emotion and half your mind in logic, both are going to cause you problems. Now we tend to think that the emotional mind is going to be much more of a problem, isn't it? Like we're upset and can't cope and all this kind of stuff. But actually the logical mind has its implications as well, where we run away with things and we're not thinking, we make one mistake after another because we haven't thought it through properly. So the tool suggests it's actually you come in the middle. You see, what is the facts? Is this emotion, factual, or is it come from something else? Is it warranted, or has my mind just got used to it, going through that field on the muddy bike, on the muddy field with the bike? You think, is it logical? Imagine it being too logical. Some people think logical is really good, and it is if it's used in the right way, but actually it can be used in the wrong way, where you fly ahead of things, you're a bull in a china shop because you think you know best. Neither's good. So wise mind, and this is what God teaches, just take a step back. He says, be still and know that I am God. I am God, not me. I am God. You don't have to live in your emotional mind. You don't have to live in your logical mind. You live in your wise mind. You take a step back and you see the different perspectives. You allow God to lead you. You'll be hard pushed to let God to lead you in your emotional mind because you think that God doesn't understand and you think no one else understands and no one else understands. You can't think straight, but what you can do is you can step back and look at the facts. Mindfulness teaches being still. Be still and know I am God. I'm talking about Christian mindfulness. So I am coming to the end here. That was pretty quick, wasn't it? How do we do that? Well, I gave you some tools already. But actually, there's something much more important. Is that we need to change our words. We need to change our words. You do need to, but do you know what? It's up to you. You choose. I'd love to be able to force people to not speak ill of themselves or other people. I'd love it. It actually makes me upset. I'd love to be able to do that, but I can't. You need to make a decision. Do you want to be led by the Spirit? Or do you want to be on the runaway train, heading to nowhere but disaster, really? Feed the Spirit, not the flesh. Now, Sunday comes. We know it's Sunday. We know how to be on a Sunday. Let's face it, don't we? We're not the same on a Sunday as we are in our house, like 2 hours before it. We're like, It's not what we're... I'm like that everywhere. But being living by the Spirit is not just for Sunday. It's for Monday. It's for Tuesday. It's for Wednesday. Choosing your words carefully is not just for Sunday. It's for all week. Be careful how you speak about yourself. Be careful by saying, I can never do that. You're putting a wedge in the way. That doesn't need to be in the way. You might not understand why that is, but I'm asking you, go and research it. It is fact. Where the mind goes, the body follows. There's been lots of research on this. Lots of scientific and biological research on that. What you think about has an effect on your body. What you think about causes an emotion, causes an action. Go and research it. I have not got time to give you all ins and outs of that. I can never do that. That means you're not likely to do it. It's as simple as that. There's proof and evidence of that. I've just said that. There's evidence of that. You're not going to do it if you think like that. Or how about, at the minute I can't do that. That's open, isn't it? But your mind and your body respond to that. That it likes that. Because you're saying what you can't do at the minute, but you might be able to later on. Your mind likes that. People who say they're stupid. I used to say this all the time about myself. Stop it. You do not know the harm you're doing to yourself by thinking or saying you're stupid. You're causing serious harm to yourself. Because you're not stupid. I've never met anyone who's stupid. Stop saying it. Well, actually, it's up to you, but I wouldn't say it. I can't do this, I can't do that. No, let's not focus on the can'ts. Let's focus on what you can do. And them can'ts you might think are valid, right? But let's focus on what you can do and reword the things you can't do. Let's be careful what we say about other people. Somebody said to me, I don't know if I read it or heard it, it might be Alan actually, that never talk about anybody as if they weren't in the room. That's quite a good thing, isn't it? So if someone's I've got that the wrong way around. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, don't talk about anybody as if they're not in as if they're not in the room. That will stop you talking badly about somebody, won't it? That's a good rule of thumb. You know, God doesn't want you to talk negatively about people. He wants you to be led by His Spirit. Being led by God's Spirit doesn't make you talk about people unless it's in a positive, wholesome way. We can be double-minded, can't we? We can think all these bad things about us and yet know what God says about us, and we're in a bit of a middle way balance thing. And make your mind up, which do you believe? Do you believe you're wholeheartedly loved? Do you believe that you're blessed? Do you believe that the goodness of God runs through you? Or do you just believe that when you feel alright? It's harder to believe it in one way or the other, but actually it's not undoable. You can do it. You just got to want to do it. You've got to do it. So, change your words. Live life in the Spirit, being led by the Spirit of God. And doing them things with the tools, changing your words. You can be transformed by the renewing of your mind. There's no stopping you. You've got to want to do it. You've got to get on and do it. I read something somewhere as well, and I like this. It says, don't tell me how big your problems are. Tell me how big your God is. Wow. We are not going to get a perspective, or a Spirit-led perspective, by looking down, if you like, down your problems. It's hard, also they need seeing too, but be led by the Spirit. It's His problem, it's not my problem. It's our problem, it's not just my problem. And we can get into the mindset of, how are we going to do this? It's my, how can I do this? How can I solve that? We take the control and the reins, and we are not made to take the reins of life. We're not made like that. But God is. And He lives in us. And to access that, we've got to look up, not down. We've got to look up. And it just takes practice. Like that field with the bike running through, it just takes practice. We've got so many bad habits going on. So many bad thinking and unhealthy thought patterns that we don't even know that there's a ridge there. That can be scientifically proven as well. It's been shown on an MRI scan about neurons and all that kind of stuff. It's evidence there that habitual thinking causes like a crater-like pathway in your mind. But it's not undoable. But with effort, you have to force your mind into a different direction. Yes, I feel like that, but... And the more you do the but, and then you transfer over, that will become your new neuron, your new pathway. Let's start now. God's called us to go out to the nations and make disciples of people. We want to be led by the Spirit, don't we? Otherwise, what we're making. So be transformed by the renewing of your mind. That's what God says. And actually, if He says it, it's right, and if He said it, it must be because we can do it with Him, by being led by Him. So let's make a start. Let's renew our mind and be led by the Spirit and realise which direction we're looking. Is it emotional mind or logic mind? Let's take a step back. Let's use the tools that God's already given us, because we can do it. God said we're worth it.